Yo, what is up, Kings? I hope all is well, as per usual. So recently I watched a movie called Casino. I'm sure many of you know that movie. It's with Robert DeNiro. And when I watched it before, I've said this many times, you don't know what you don't know. But at the same time, I distinctly remember having like a very natural thought process and inclination and conclusion towards what I was watching. And by the way, obviously, as an Orthodox Christian, I do not advocate for the type of world that those guys live in from that movie. Obviously, it's fictional movie. Well, is it? I'd have to look and see if it's based off of real life events. But as far as the movie goes, I mean, obviously the movie's not real. So let's just get that out of the way. But I specifically want to talk about the dynamic between Robert De Niro's character and his girlfriend that turned wife. And honestly, calling her the girlfriend is not really completely accurate. If you guys watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to give some spoilers away for the movie if you haven't watched it from this point on. So if you haven't watched it and you really want to watch it before you watch the video, just know that I'm going to give some details away. By the way, guys, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. In the last month, the channel has seen some nice growth. I really appreciate it. I've said many times that's not what this channel is about. And believe you me, the channel gets plenty of haters, regardless of the support, which is fine. But again, that's not necessarily what this channel is about. I've told you guys many times that what is the most important thing to me is for me to discuss topics, whether political, social, interpersonal, economic, current, whatever the case may be, theological, religious, that I think is applicable and should be discussed, especially when it comes to men. All right, without further ado, let's dive into this. So, Casino is a movie about essentially the mob. I think the movie was written or directed by Martin Scorsese, who's done a lot of those types of movies. And there's one in particular, Nicky, who is like the hardball, crazy, will mess you up in a second for looking at him the wrong way type of character. He's done the character many times. But before we get to him, there's another character who is from them boys, the certain tribe, the certain ilk. Although I'm not sure if Robert De Niro specifically is, but I'm pretty sure he is. He is a guy who is really good at sports betting and laying down lines and making these kind of organized crime groups money as well as himself. So he gets an offer to go out to Las Vegas and run a casino. I think it's in the either the late 1960s, early 1970s, when the mafia and the mob, are the mafia and the mob the same thing? I think they are. Really had a stronghold in Vegas, and I'm sure they still do in one way, shape, or form. And so he goes out to Vegas, and he's doing okay for himself. And while he's there, I don't know if it's before or after he meets this girl. I don't remember her name. It's not really relevant. But it's the main chick in the story. He meets this girl. He is known for being extremely meticulous and having an extremely high attention to detail when it comes to people trying to get one over on him and his casino. And this girl comes in, blonde chick, fairly attractive. I think they could have found a more attractive chick, to be honest, but just for the sake of it, attractive. Probably like a 7, an 8 with makeup on. Tall, skinny, and blonde, stereotypical attractive girl comes in and is like this really good schemer that is able to get one over. She interpersonally is really strong. She gets connections with the people who work at the casino, who give her tips and insight in order to help her lay down some of these schemes and ultimately follow through with some of these schemes. Okay. And of course, Robert De Niro, being the meticulous individual that he is, notices this, and unlike the males in the show, which it literally has a scene where there are males that try to get one over on him, and he literally breaks the guy's hand with a hammer. He talks to her in a very calm, rational, sympathetic, kind of admiration, in a sort of admirative, if that's a word, manner. So anyways, like I said, he starts talking to her, and I say the word admiration, and certainly, I guess in a certain context it's true, but in all honesty, it's more so that he finds her attractive, and that's why she's being given this kind of hot privilege that obviously the guys later in the movie did not receive. And so, long story short, he starts to pursue her, and I think he essentially says, try not to do hits on my club, sort of, or casino sort of thing. And there's this pivotal scene where, well, actually, let me backtrack. While he is pursuing her, we see scenes that show that she has somebody else that she is with and interested in, and I believe they even show this guy, this kind of loser guy, but also is not a simp towards her. He's kind of your stereotypical grimy guy who does not pedestalize her, and she has this like infatuation with him. And I think you see him actually in the first attempt, or one of the first attempts that she has at the casino, runs at the casino. And so we see more scenes later of her with him, talking to him, letting him know as if he's kind of like a PIMP, her PIMP, which he's not. They have a relationship. It's very one-sided. How she looks at him is how you want your woman to look at you, to be honest. And we see these scenes while Robert De Niro's character is going after her, and she's basically saying that it's nothing. We're going to take everything that this guy is worth, yada yada yada. But her in her female ways and trying not to be a totally shit person, starts to become sympathetic towards Robert De Niro's character and his niceness towards her. Okay. And so there's this pivotal scene where they're talking in a hotel room at the casino, and he lets her know that he's not getting any younger. He does very well for himself, obviously. He continues to lavish her with, expensive things. He's basically a sugar daddy. I mean, that is his approach. He is the stereotypical, and I don't think that the movie was purposely portraying it in the sense of the red pill, but everybody kind of knows this instinctually, whether it comes from like a more red pill mindset. They know that these types of men exist, and women know that these types of men exist. Specifically, the stereotypical, overly nice, beta provider that buys love. Okay, that has very little game, very little natural attractive features outside of the fact that he is a moneymaker. And, you know, you see guys all the time that lead with their wallets. That's what you call it, leading with your wallet rather than leading with who you are as a man, which the other guy in the movie does. They're perfect juxtapositions to each other in the show or in the movie. And he's letting her know how much he cares for her while giving her these lavish things, and says he's not getting any younger, and essentially asks her to marry him. And she basically says, and is very honest, and I give total credit for this, that she's no good, and that she's not a good woman, that she has major red flags. She doesn't say it like that exactly, but she is very direct in saying that she is not what he's looking for. And she is even more honest by saying that she's not really attracted to him in that way. And he pushes through that, through all these warnings that her herself gave him. Never mind the fact that there's all these other women that he would have access to. Never mind the fact that she displayed her red flags because his character knew that there was another guy even before this, by her being a shizer and you know, running these schemes on his own fucking casino. Him knowing about the other guy, this loser skee-ball guy, this grimy guy. On top of that, with the warnings that she herself gives him. And so, fast forward, they end up getting married. He ends up, you know, saying in that conversation, let's push past this. You can come to love me. You know, I will grow on you. You know, love is not always immediate. And I do agree with that in a certain sense. But the main thing about this video that I want to point out is when you are dealing with a woman like this, who obviously has a ton of experience sexually, who is obviously a 304, who comes from the streets, you cannot take the streets out of a 304. You just cannot. That's why she for the streets is so true. You cannot turn a hoe into a housewife. You cannot. And that is what this character, and that's the main thing that I want to tell you guys about in this video. That is what Robert De Niro's character tried to do, is turn a hoe, an honest hoe, into a housewife. And so fast forward, they end up having a kid. Actually, this is important. On the night that they get married, the guy that she talks to and is in tears is the other grimy guy. That is the main person that is on her mind. And Robert De Niro's character catches her doing so. And she tells him that she's just saying goodbye, but in reality, the conversation was, let's get him for everything he's worth. And so fast forward, and so, you know, Robert De Niro gives her a stern warning, you're done with that. You're done with him. You're done with that life. Fast forward, and they have a kid. They have a daughter, and it just gets progressively worse. Progressively worse. You know, at the beginning, the lavish lifestyle, the jewels, the money, kind of simmered things down for a little bit. And obviously gave motivation for her to be better. But in the end, her 304 ways got the better of her. He even put an account with a ton of fucking money, which he would come to regret, that the banker warned him about, that only she had access to. Only her. Okay? And so fast forward, you know, she continues talking to this guy. Obviously, Robert De Niro's character has peripheral stuff going on outside, unrelated to the woman. But, you know, that's going on, okay? And she continues to do drugs, drink a lot, not be a good mother, continues talking to this guy. And Robert De Niro catches her meeting with this guy. And of course, she tries to put it towards him by saying he's being controlling. He's you know, he needs to just let her do what she wants to do. But in all actuality, he was actually being a much more a much better guy than most guys would be in that sort of situation, especially in his position. You know what I'm saying? And so she turns to another bad boy, another shoulder to cry on, by way of Nikki's character. The other bad boy in the story, the other grimy guy. Again, more 304 ways. And of course, he is a sympathetic ear, and Robert De Niro's character is not privy to this immediately, but he does become privy to it. And so he's kind of working both angles. On one hand, saying that he's good friends with Robert De Niro's character. On the other, somewhat taking her side, not like strongly, but in a way that keeps her coming back to him. And she, there's one scene before where she gets really close to him, but they don't do anything. And then there's another scene where there's a huge, verbal fight between her and Robert De Niro's character. And she goes and sees Nikki, and of course they end up sleeping together. And Nikki's character sees her for the piece of meat that she is, the 304 that she is. He doesn't value what she has to say. There's a scene where she's lying on the bed and he says, "Sure, doll, you're beautiful." He's like condescending towards her. And of course, Robert De Niro's character finds out about it, and she continues to see this guy, the other grimy guy, not Nikki. And eventually, her and Nikki are trying to get Robert De Niro's money, because she lets Nikki know that there's money available, and that only she has access to, and she has access to jewels, and she'll cut him in on it. And so Nikki's just looking for a reason to take Robert De Niro's character out and kill him and take his woman. So not only is she ruthless in being with other guys and all of that, but she also is distinctly connected to his demise, to him being killed. She is exactly who you saw her to be at the beginning of the movie, who she warned him that she was no good, she was bad news. Just to wrap this up, because I have to get going, I got to go to church. She ends up spiraling out of control, being kicked out of the house. She doesn't end up getting the money that was put in that safe that only she had access to. She immediately was arrested by the cops. She didn't give up Robert De Niro's character, which was the only decent thing that she did, or didn't do, rather. And the last scene we see of her is, ODing from a hotel room, and Robert De Niro's character says that she was left with a few cents. Of all the money she was given, she was left with a few cents because it was all spent on partying and drugs and all that. Guys, this story, just to wrap this up, is a perfect illustration of 304s and why you cannot take the hoe and turn it into the housewife. You cannot do it. That is why learning about your woman's history is so imperative. Women will tell you who they are. You just have to listen. You just have to listen. They will tell on themselves. And most women are not as straightforward as she is. And again, this guy is a perfect illustration and a warning story, or what do you call it? A case study, a walking what not to do manual on leading with your wallet and not trusting your gut as a man, and of course pedestalizing beauty, women, femininity, which so many men do. The whole happy wife, happy life bullshit. When you as a man have so much to bring to the relationship, see, a good masculine man that has game on this sort of thing, that was in a position like he was, making so much money, would not, number one, would not turn her into a wife, number one, especially if she didn't become Christian or anything like that and made no attempts to better herself. Number two, would keep her for recreational use only, which, by the way, I don't condone as a Christian, but just, it'd be better than marrying her in a lot of ways. Well, I guess not, but you get my, I guess in a certain way for secular men that would be the case. And he would have the courage and the knowledge to value himself and what he brings to the table and find a litany of other women that are much better than her to compensate his time or be with him for his leisure time. I'm telling you guys, this movie was red pill before red pill was a thing. It is a great forewarning story, a foreshadowing story, a woman that wants it all. Women very seldom have the introspective nature to look inside and make legitimate changes. Okay, that is why you can't take the 304. Once they make that decision, that is who they are. And they try and cover it with bullshit by saying, oh, you shouldn't judge me. Who are you to judge me? No, it's just being smart. It's just being smart. Women are extremely selfish creatures. They are not going to have their introspective, some might to some degree or another, but a lot of them, especially 304s like this, are not going to have the introspective qualities to make massive changes. That's why they're a 304 in the first place. So be forewarned, guys. I got to get going. I got to get into church. This is a great story. We'll see if I decide to do a part 2. Casino. Great red pill story before red pill was a thing. I hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion. Like I said, thank you guys for supporting the channel. It continues to grow. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow and facts or feelings because your feelings just don't matter. Men, be smart. Be smart. Okay? Be smart. God gave you logic for a reason. Trust your masculine nature, your gut. Trust what your gut is telling you and your homeboys. All right, guys, I will see you guys next time. Christ is King. Love you, King. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.